Hey garden friends, it's Raspberry Ramsey. Hope you're having a good day and taking your week pretty mellow. So you have some seeds in hand. Hopefully those got delivered to you with your school lunch, thanks to our awesome staff at GES and our friends over at the Plumas Children's Council and our friends over at Counsil Elementary and Farmer Carey. You got probably a bunch of different kinds of seeds, and so today we're going to talk a little bit about transplanting your plant starts, if you have any plants that are ready to go, direct sowing your seeds, putting them directly in the ground, and then sowing seeds into a container so that they can be grown a little bit before they're planted. All right, so, how do you spell sow? Like sow plants, not sow clothes. Awesome. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to take some of my zinnia and sunflower seeds first. And when we direct sow zinnia and sunflower seeds, you can just put a little handful in your palm. And you just come over to your direct sowing spot. You can poke a hole in the dirt. Or you can get a container ready and you can drop them in to the dirt. One in each hole is recommended. If you do more than that, you'll have your seeds start competing for resources like soil, water, sunlight, and you don't really want to have them competing too much because then they can't do their best to just grow beautiful fruits and flowers. And that was our sunflower and our zinnia. Note that sunflower, zinnias, carrots, they like to be really moist when they get started. So keep the water continuous, keep the moisture pretty good. Like if you squeeze your soil, you want it to kind of clump up rather than just being dry and flimsy. So keep that moisture on your seeds at all time. And then for another one, we have our early pie pumpkin or our green cucumber. You also might have, what else do you have? Maybe a zucchini, maybe a squash, something fun. So with your cucumber and your pumpkin, when you sow something in a container, the reason why you would sow something in a container is that it gives the seed extra space and extra safety to grow, and maybe you could keep it inside for a little while. And you just put the seed directly in the middle, label it. This here is labeled scallop squash. That's not what this is, so we would probably want to take that label off so that we make sure we know what we're growing. Labeling pumpkin would be really smart. And the reason why we sometimes grow things in other containers as compared to direct sowing them in the ground is after we've kind of gotten our ground all prepped, our beds prepped, or our soil prepped, some of the microbes in the soil get a little bit agitated and they get really hot, and that heat can prevent some of our seeds from germinating. So we want to be really mindful of how we've prepped our soil, and if we want to direct sow something like, for example, a zinnia or a sunflower can handle kind of that heat that the soil microbes generate, whereas maybe a carrot might be a little bit more vulnerable because it's so small and delicate. And when we transplant something, the roots are a little bit more mature, the plant's more mature, right? So it's able to fight off the heat those microbes put in to the soil and surrounding it. So a plant with roots and a stem is a little bit more resilient to any soil and microbe heat I'm going to use, but also like vibes that they put out. It's kind of hard for me to explain that in science terms, which is another thing that we can do is we can look up like what happens in the soil if we turn it all up. And our friends at the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Natural Resource Conservation Services in our Resource Conservation District, those are really great resources to use and ask questions about, like, hey, how do I learn about my soil? So here I have a pretty rocky soil, and what I'm going to do to transplant, before I pull out my plant, is I'm just going to stick my hand in and give it some space, and I found a rock. And my soil's not as wet as I wanted down below. The surface is wet, but the soil down there isn't wet. So that's something I want to think about. And when I pull out my plant from a pack, I'm going to turn it on its side and pinch the bottom so that I'm not pulling my plant out by the stem. I'm just kind of letting it fall into my hand. And we want to be really gentle with our roots because our roots are alive and they're pretty delicate. And when we put our plant in, we kind of squish the soil to the side and put it in as deep, if not a little bit deeper, than the top of the soil. And then we can come in gently pushing soil around our plant, giving it a nice little tuck in and saying, "Plant, I hope you grow well and I will do my best to keep you alive." And then at this point we would get some water, and because we just transplanted our tomatillo here, this is a tomatillo, we're going to water a little bit gently. And notice how it does over the next 2 days. Is it standing up straight or is it kind of floppy? Right now it's really cloudy, so we're lucky there, but if it was really hot, maybe we'd want to give it some shade just as it adjusts before it gets a little bit more mature and fully developed. And thank you so much for your attention. So again, we can transplant a plant that's a little bit bigger. We can direct sow, which is where we put the seed directly in the soil, or we can sow into a container so that we give the plant a little bit more safety as it germinates from its seed stage and goes into its like adolescent plant life. Yep. Okay. Again, great resources for you to check out. Thank you so much, and I hope you had a really great day today, and I hope that you're learning and observing and noticing things around us. And if you have any questions, send me an email or just check out our Farmer Carrie and Raspberry Ramsey YouTube channel. And thank you again for your attention.